Here with us here on set right now is Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times columnist Jim Stewart. Interesting column this week about hedge funds, which I love seeing your stuff on, and it's always an interest of mine. But first, I'd love to get your take on the decision by DOJ to appeal this case.
Yeah, totally interesting here because as on the merits of the case, this is a Hail Mary pass. I mean, the odds of them actually winning on appeal are very remote. That's partly because, one, the appeals court has to take the factual record developed in the court. And this, if you read that opinion, it's fact, 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 fact. There are like no court citations in there. So it's going to be very challenging for an appeals court to overturn this unless they just want to like throw out decades of antitrust jurisprudence, I think is unlikely. So why would they be doing it? Number one, they seem to just want to harass AT&T and Time Warner. Number two, they want to send a message to the other potential merger partners that we're going to challenge you. And the head of the antitrust division was very explicit. He said, even though we lost big time on this one, if you try to do another vertical merger in media, we're going to sue you, and we're going to sue you in somewhere like, California or a different jurisdiction and try to get a different ruling. And their long strategy here may be the Supreme Court. So they lose now in the D.C. Circuit. They bring another case, which they hope they'll win someday, somewhere else. They get an appeals affirmation of that. Then they have the conflict in the circuits, which would mean the Supreme Court would take this. The Supreme Court is not going to take this on its own. That's the long game. That could be a very long game in my view. But I agree with Stevenson, this is going to have no immediate impact on them. But I do think other merger people are going to have to be prepared to go through the 9, 18 months, whatever it is, of actual litigation.
Jim, you're talking about forum shopping by the Justice Department?
He said it. That's what he said he was going to do. He said, this is one district court judge, and we're going to go find another jurisdiction where, they may think differently. Well, they do have the right to do that, but it's, I think they really are barking up the wrong tree here, partly because, there was a great story in the Times this week about the meeting with the HBO people, and so what are they saying? Well, we want to spend more money. We're going to compete with Netflix. We're going to pump more money into this. Tell me how that is bad for consumers. That's great for consumers.
Right. And they have cited the fact that I think they've raised prices on DirecTV now. They've raised prices as well a little bit on some other services.
But they already own DirecTV. They're not raising prices on something they just got.
Before raising prices.
The optics were not particularly good, but I'm not sure it mattered at all, Jim, in terms of DOJ's decision.
No. I don't think that had anything to do with it.
People expected that they would appeal, despite the fact that it seems a long shot.
Right. I think it's no real surprise they're doing it. And by the way, it's an open season for lawyers. They're going to love this. We're going to have battalions of some of the most highly paid lawyers in the country swarming all over this again for 6, 9, a year. Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see what theory they try to bring forward. But like I said, I think this is really a long shot.
Well, James, just could you give, because you've followed these things longer than anyone, could you give us a little description about how the judge treated the antitrust division in that opinion?
Well, it was withering.
Have you ever read a tougher one?
I have never read a tougher one. And also interesting from the appeals perspective, these cases often turn on the expert testimony. The expert testimony is a fact-finding. He eviscerated the government expert. He ridiculed him. What did he call it? The Rube Goldberg contraption,
I was waiting for him to lose tenure. After I read that, I said, this man's going to lose tenure. It was so flimsy.
The other thing about these appeals is, the last one of these I can remember. There are very few of these, but the Whole Foods, remember the Whole Foods Wild Oats? I was super interested in that. That was, I thought, a crazy theory. They lost on the district court. They appealed. They actually won on appeal. By the time that thing was finished, it was so clear that the theory was all wrong. I mean, Whole Foods made a huge mistake in buying Wild Oats. That thing did nothing but undermine Whole Foods' earnings, and it had nothing to do with their ability to raise prices. Meanwhile, everybody else was jumping into the premium natural thing. So they lost there, but by then it was such a shambles that, Whole Foods said, yes, take it away from us. And so they had to spin off a couple of stores, and nobody even remembered then what had happened.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.